President Biden's fateful decision to pardon his son, Hunter Biden, is continuing to make waves. The Daily Show's Jon Stewart criticized Biden for doing so in pretty hilarious terms. Let's watch.
Faith in the rule of law. Finally, Democrats have a moral perch from which they can judge without shame, hypocrisy, or nuance.
Breaking news, President Biden has issued a pardon for his son, Hunter Biden.
Mother... We were so close.
White House Press Secretary Karine Jean-Pierre on Monday suggested war politics prompted Hunter's pardon. Not sure what that means. At the same time, she refuted Donald Trump's claim that the DOJ is biased. While aboard Air Force One on the way to Angola with the president, KJP used that term, war politics, 3 times while defending Biden's claim that his son was being, quote, selectively and unfairly prosecuted.
Host of the Breakfast Club morning show, Charlemagne the God, blasted Biden's decision on his Monday show. Take a look.
Hunter was singled out because he broke the law. That's number one. He was singled out because he had an illegal gun and tax evasion charges, not because he was the president's son. And I honestly don't care. I just want Democrats to stop acting like they are on this moral high ground politically when they have shown us they're not, whether it's skipping the primary process when Biden stepped down and things like Biden pardoning his son. Stop acting like y'all the pure party and Republicans aren't. And it also shows me elected officials can do whatever they want as long as they have the political will and courage to do it.
And New York Times columnist Ezra Klein seems to be on Biden's side, writing on X, quote, "It's terrible politics and precedent, but I'm going to be honest and say that Trump has been brutally clear that they want revenge on their enemies. They're obsessed with Hunter in particular, and that would weigh like hell on me if I were his father and could protect him." Meanwhile, Democratic Congresswoman Marie Gluesenkamp-Perez criticized Biden, posting, quote, "President Biden's pardon of his son confirms a common belief I hear in Southwest Washington that well-connected people are often gifted special treatment by a 2-tier justice system. The president made the wrong decision. No family should be above the law."
It is a shorter list than I might have expected of Democrats condemning this. There are certainly some. We've heard from Colorado Senator Michael Bennet. I don't know what's in the water in Colorado where you have Democrats saying things I agree with there, because Jared Polis was very swift to condemn it. Michael Bennet of Colorado, Dean Phillips, an independent-minded Democrat who was the first person really in the party who's an elected official to say something is wrong with Joe Biden's re-election effort, and was totally and completely vindicated by subsequent developments. So that's not surprising, but it's welcome. Few others, Senator Gary Peters, Representatives Greg Stanton and Jason Crow. I'm not seeing anything from Josh Shapiro and Gretchen Whitmer, which kind of surprises me because I would think condemning this is a prerequisite to seeking the presidency in 4 years. But what do you think?
Well, I think if you're Josh Shapiro or Gretchen Whitmer, you have to choose your battles carefully, and we have yet to see how independent-minded they will truly be. The truth is, everyone I've met in politics fits into one of 2 categories: people who want to be something and people who want to do something. And so if you're in the B category, you're more likely to toe the party line. And that's why you see people like Congressman Jamie Raskin really contorting himself. If you compare his comments from a few months ago to post Hunter Biden pardon, he's really playing some political gymnastics. But on the flip side, you point to people in Colorado. I do think actually the Democratic Party there, this is a real dynamic, does have a more independent, even libertarian kind of streak to them. And so I do think that's interesting. I think for the people who are still supporting Biden on this are doing so for reasons to ingratiate themselves in the party leadership. Those are people who are maybe on track for a future chairmanship on Capitol Hill. Oof. So an issue like this is very revealing for voters, especially within the Democratic Party, to see which side are they on? Are they on the side of being in public office to do something, which means they have a mission larger than themselves, which means they're more likely to be consistent on an issue like the rule of law, or people who just want to suck up to party leaders?
Yeah, I think that last point is very well taken. It's sycophantic. It's unhealthy for the long-term trajectory of the party. But maybe I mean, is that the case? Is crossing Biden still something that can damage you in terms of seeking representation on committees and all that sort of thing? I wouldn't think Biden still wields very effective control over the party, but I am surprised how few people want to cross him on this.
Well, I think from Biden's perspective, this is probably his last major news cycle. It's a heck of a way to go out. But the staffers, the senior leaders around Biden are career staffers. They are people who move from not only administration to administration, but they continue to hold senior positions in Democratic politics. Now, while we're talking about this, obviously, we haven't fully addressed all of the Trump pardons that he's done, many of which I think we would bristle at, and we saw the same sycophantic behavior happening on the Republican side. But I truly think this is very revealing for people to understand who can be more independent-minded. The other thing I just want to highlight here is we now have a little bit of space to react to this Hunter Biden news is just not to look, there's a lot of Biden bashing going on. Some of it, to a lot of it, is probably warranted. But there is a human element here. This is a son who has faced real tragedy in his life, who's lost multiple siblings as well as his mom, and he unfortunately became addicted to some very dangerous drugs. And it's a very sad human story, and I think many fathers can probably relate to a situation like that. And honestly, there were even some Republicans who said that they sympathized with Joe Biden, might have even done the same thing. The Republican senator from Alabama, Senator Tuberville, said something to that effect. So it doesn't mean that they did this right. They obviously did not. But let's just not forget the human element of this story.
Yes, and I think that would be a very compelling explanation of the action Biden took if the pardon was more limited and specifically only covered the gun, the improperly purchasing a firearm aspect, which I have said repeatedly. I said it yesterday. I will say it again. I agree with the criticism of that prosecution. I think it would not have been brought against just anyone. I'm also not convinced the statute is itself constitutional. I think you have the right to purchase a firearm. I believe drugs should be decriminalized, and if you're addicted to drugs, that is a medical issue, not a legal issue. And so if it was, and he could face a lot of time in prison for that because we live in an overly carceral society over nonsense. So I would agree with the decision if it was that narrow. The tax stuff is different because ordinary Americans get roped up in IRS witch hunts all the time. And so that is more of the, well, is there one standard for somebody named Biden and one standard for someone else? And then it's even beyond that because it covers any potential criminal activity from an 11-year period happening to coincide with his employment by Burisma. And what we will be left wondering for the rest of time is, was that just a kindness to Hunter Biden, or is that Joe Biden indirectly protecting his own potential involvement in, maybe unwittingly? But the media reporting on this was so dishonest, saying there was no connection, no evidence of anything. Then you find out, oh, well, he did call in while they were having while Hunter was doing a business dinner with his people related to Burisma, and that he did get introduced to one of them at another event, and so on and so forth. I am not, don't mistake me, I have not seen evidence that Joe Biden is guilty of anything criminally here, but it seems pretty clear that Hunter Biden tried to rope him into something that was unethical and might have been criminal, and now that is closed for all time. So that's the part of this that can't just be explained by a father loving his son, in my view.
We were talking about politicians whose true intentions are being revealed with the story. Yeah. Certainly with media as well, we're revealing some of the corruption in the media as well. If Biden had connected this pardon to criminal justice reform, and he actually, I mean, potentially, I agree with you, it could have been a narrower pardon and that might have blunted some of the criticism. But actually, if he widened the pardon powers to more people, more ordinary people not named Biden, people who are unjustly treated by a so-called criminal justice system, I think that would have also engendered more respect in this decision.
Yeah, why wouldn't he do this pardon alongside a bunch of other pardons or commutations for, you can find plenty of people, who are serving life or 50 years or some ridiculous crack cocaine kind of sentencing problem. Now, the First Step Act fixed some of that, but there's more work to be done, and that will be a good thing. And I know we had Michael LaRosa on yesterday who said, well, Biden still has a couple weeks left in his presidency to do that. I certainly hope he does do that. I have a list of people I think he should pardon, and we'll see if he gets on that. But he certainly didn't wait to make this decision. Now, if he was going to make this decision, there's no reason to wait because they're about to do sentencing, and why waste people's time and money and effort bringing charges against someone you've already decided to pardon? Fine, there's no reason to wait if he's doing it.
Yeah.
But I agree with you that I would like to see additional pardons for nonviolent drug offenders who really got the book thrown at them.
Which Trump and Obama did.
Yes.
So huge missed opportunity for Biden.
Certainly. All right, stay with us. Coming up next, we'll be talking about the controversies surrounding Pete Hegseth, the Trump nominee for Secretary of Defense. More Rising right after this.